Sling TV has something for everyone. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. But no matter what you're looking for, you can watch it with Sling. Sports, news, and today's hottest shows. Plus, you can explore thousands of movies and TV shows on demand. And getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. Stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space. Plus, you won't get locked into a long-term contract. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. Welcome to the Andy Staples Show, presented by Sling. So much going on today. So much still going on. Ari Wasserman is here. Ari, we're going to have to time travel a little bit for the folks who are listening to this in podcast form. This is not the first thing you're going to hear. You're going to hear something else that we record after the Apple Cup when we figure out who the hell is going to play for the Pac-12 title against USC.
I'm surprised you didn't want to just wait till 2 a.m. again.
Well,
what happened to you? You're getting soft.
We're going to strike while the iron's hot. Everybody's buzzing off this USC Notre Dame game, watching the end of this wild Texas Tech Oklahoma game. We just saw the Odell Beckham catch to end the UCF USF game. I mean,
was that a touchdown?
I don't know.
That didn't look like a touchdown to me.
They reviewed it and said it still was.
I mean, I reviewed it, and I don't see anywhere where the foot got down.
The foot got down. Did his elbow hit out of bounds first? The foot actually did get down in bounds.
I mean, like he was out of bounds if the feet touched.
Well, that's pretty far down on the list of
I'm just telling you that I had an official review, and I don't think that was a touchdown.
Our review, I think a lot of people felt that way.
I had my booth. I was like this. I got the booth going. Yeah.
Yes. I think a lot of people felt that way, but it was called a touchdown. So UCF and Tulane in the American Championship game. Not the game I figured we'd be talking about too much at the beginning of the show.
Well, I'm excited to see, Andy, the podcast extraordinaire that you are, how you're going to handle this. How are you going to weave through tonight?
Well,
what order are we going in?
Well, okay. So I'm guessing a lot of you saw the video we did right after Oklahoma. I'm watching Oklahoma play right now. Right after Michigan and Ohio State. And if you haven't, we have a 20-minute reaction right after that game ended that was very interesting, where we assume a lot of things that tonight proved that we shouldn't have assumed. So, like, one of the things we assumed was that LSU would just roll over Texas A&M. That did not happen. So we're going to talk about that because the Michigan-Ohio State result, while some of the things that we talked about are still relevant, some things have changed since then, because that Texas A&M win against LSU changes things. And Ari, I texted you a question right before we started this thing, and I'm really, really intrigued by it because I was watching at the end of the USC Notre Dame game. Kirk Herbstreit has the playoff rankings up, and he's got his telestrator out. He's crossing people off, like he crosses off LSU and he crosses off Clemson because Clemson lost to South Carolina on Saturday. And but I'm going, okay, where are they ranking Alabama on Tuesday as I look at that?
Yeah.
Because that seems like Alabama's still in striking distance, and I don't think they are, but.
Well, before you reveal where you think they're going to rank, but I guess maybe it will anyway. Do you think that Alabama will or should be ahead of Ohio State on Tuesday?
I think they will.
So you think they'll be 5?
State lost. No. Well, yeah. Okay. All right.
It has to be 5.
Right. They do. You're right. This is the thing. USC's ahead of Alabama already. For some reason, I was blocked on that, thinking Alabama was ahead of USC. They've already got USC ahead of Alabama, so that's fine. So it'll go Georgia, Michigan, TCU at number 3. And we talked about this during the Ohio State Michigan.
What about
video.
USC at number 3 too? That still could be a possibility.
It's a possibility, although TCU finally had a dominant win. It looked easy for them against Iowa State.
They're undefeated.
I think TCU is going to wind up undefeated. I really do. But
yeah,
we'll see. They're still playing in the Little Apple.
Why are you assuming anything right now?
I know we should never assume.
Never assume.
I don't know why.
Last week was the grabassery week, and this week is the never assume week.
Well, so we talked about this in the video. I actually would be fine if you wanted to move Michigan to number 1 based on that win.
I think that you have a case for number 1.
They won't do it, but I'd be fine. And I don't think Georgia cares either way. They're like, we'll smash whoever you put in front of us. It's fine.
It's just a matter about like, and I don't even know if that would impact the locations of which bowls they played in either.
Right, because if USC is one of them, they're going to go to the Fiesta if they're a higher ranked one. Well, although I guess it doesn't matter because you're going to have a Midwest team at number 1 and a Southern team at number 1, assuming we shouldn't assume. But okay, so let's just say for clarity's sake or for the sake of brevity, Georgia stays number 1, Michigan's number 2, TCU's number 3, SC's number 4. Who's number 5, Ohio State or Alabama?
I think Ohio State's going to be 5.
Why?
One less loss.
What if
one less loss and the one time?
What's the line if they played? Now, I realize these are two very similar animals. This is not Alabama against somebody else. This is Alabama against somebody that the committee will view just like Alabama.
Yes, and I think that's why they'll put them 5, because I think the spread would probably be 2.5, 3.
Right. It would not be a huge spread.
It'd probably be a close game or a close spread. So I think that the second loss is probably going to do it for them. But I do think that whoever's number 5 on Tuesday is probably the pole position for the final playoff spot if TCU or USC slip.
Right. Right. Now, if TCU slips, does it matter as much? Like, do they still get in at 12-1? I don't know.
I don't think TCU's in the playoff if they lose a game.
Really? And that game is the championship game of their conference. So USC, and again, we are waiting to see who USC is going to play. We will not know that for a couple hours because we need to see the result of the Washington State game. The Apple Cup will determine whether they're playing Utah or Oregon. So that Oregon State game, holy crap. How does Oregon do that?
That's how wheels fall off real quick.
Good Lord. And listen, the 4th and 1 call, I'm okay with 4th and 1 calls when you have a quarterback like that, but when it
just keeps happening
and you've got a lead, just punt the ball. Don't get cute. Like, you're on your own 30. Yeah. They're moving the ball without throwing. Like, that's the scary part of that is Oregon State did all of that without throwing. And
smash mouth football all the way.
Yeah.
Didn't they have like 15 consecutive run plays in that game at the end?
They did. By the way, you know who looked really good up front on Saturday night, who hasn't looked that good up front all year? USC.
You're talking about defensive front, right?
Oh, offensive line.
Oh, offensive line looked good and defensive line I thought looked pretty good.
Both lines of scrimmage looked good for USC. That was the best I've seen them play. And so I'm fascinated to see how this winds up because Oregon can still back in if Wazoo wins the Apple Cup.
By the way, Wazoo might actually win the Apple Cup.
Oh yeah, this is not a foregone conclusion. So, and Utah beat USC, but as you've pointed out, it's at Rice-Eccles, tough place to play on a night when they're honoring their fallen teammates. If you put that in a neutral site, I don't know if Utah wins that game.
Well, also, too, Caleb Williams is just flourishing right now. I mean, he was really good at the beginning of the year. We knew what he was going to be. But if you watch that game, it was like Heisman moment. It was like every play was a Heisman moment. He flashed the Heisman. Like, I mean, we should dive into this right now.
He actually should have. He did the Heisman on the wrong play.
He should.
There were two or three other ones that would have been more appropriate.
I mean, if I were him, I would just flash it after every play I made. Like, I mean, is there? So he's the Heisman Trophy winner, right?
I don't know that who can overtake him in this.
Even if they lose next week, he
like
might.
I say win it. I say watch all the games. I always say this: watch all the games. Don't decide who you're voting for before you watch all the games. So we're going to watch all the games next week, and then we're going to make the decision. But right now, I would say he's number 1 on most ballots. And I would say it'll be very hard to unseat him at number 1. Like, who's going to do it?
I don't even know who you would play.
Right, exactly. Who would it even be?
Like, I don't even think CJ Stroud would be in my top 3 anymore.
Right, and Drake May could have the best game ever in the ACC championship game. It won't matter. So,
if Drake May drops 500 yards of offense and they beat Clemson in the ACC championship, and like UNC wins the ACC off of his back, like that's a pretty compelling storyline, right? Especially if you pair it with the Caleb Williams loss.
It'll get Drake May to New York. It won't get him the Heisman Trophy.
I know, but now, imagine that scenario where, like, if Drake May plays incredibly well and USC loses, then USC and UNC are both obviously out of the playoff discussion. You have one conference champion and you have one player who, I mean, I think both of us would agree, maybe coming into last week, that we would take Drake May over Caleb Williams to be
Tyrone Fetterman with Max Duggan, and Max Duggan would be the other person I think would have a chance.
Well, these are my top three for the straw poll.
Yeah, Max Duggan would have to have a brilliant game, and I would kind of have to save them. Like, I think the thing that puts Caleb Williams in the lead for me right now is the fact that he has had to completely carry this team in most games. He actually didn't necessarily have to do that against Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, let's just call it what it is too. Like, it's sexiness and flash. Like, part of it too is like the way that he plays is exciting. Yeah. He had a play tonight where he was running at full speed with his back to the line of scrimmage before turning around and turning a 20-yard gain. Like, there's the way that he plays is exciting, fun. It's the USC persona. They're about to play for the Pac-12 championship. The stats are there.
I said this last year when he got on the field at Oklahoma. Finally, we're like, this guy's special.
Yeah, he's of course. There's no question, and that's part of the reason why USC is an attractive place, and the reason why we made the bet that we made from my side, because it's just, it's just Oklahoma on the West Coast, which is even more lethal. It's like I was actually thinking, like, it must sting just to be an Oklahoma fan today, because you're kind of watching the manifestation of the way that what was expected for your. You're
also going to overtime with Texas Tech after you took the 24-0 lead.
But it's just like, that would stink. I actually, like, I'm not even trying to be an ass. Like, I do kind of feel for those people, because you're watching your plan play out perfectly. It's just not at your place anymore. Yeah. It's like there is a certain. I mean, if Caleb wins the Heisman this year, is that the fourth one that Lincoln Riley's had? Like, that's got to be some sort of record.
It would be the third one, but
Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, and then Caleb Williams, and the Jalen Hurts was in the
finalist. Yeah,
was in the ceremony. So I mean, it's like honestly ridiculous. So
you know who could have been in this hunt if they'd let him play all season like he played today? JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy was awesome.
Yeah, he was.
Like no matter what happens for the rest of JJ McCarthy's career, he will be a legend for that game against Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely
a legend.
Are we veering into that now? When are we going?
Okay, we got people in the chat who obviously didn't see the earlier one who are wondering why the hell we're not talking about the biggest result of the day. So let's talk about that.
Sure.
So we've said multiple times on this podcast, we don't know what JJ McCarthy is. He's never been asked to throw them to a win. Today, he was asked to throw more than he's ever had before. He was asked to provide Michigan's explosive plays when the run game was not working. And guess what? He did it.
Okay, I'm going to start this off with I've had a lot of time to reflect since we did our thing.
All right.
And I wrote a column about Ryan Day, and after I wrote it, I also reflected even more.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Ohio State. There's a lot to talk about, but let me be a man here for a second and just say,
all right.
I've said on this show for long periods of time, before I was even the co-host, when you would have me on when I was covering Ohio State, that Jim Harbaugh was not the right person for the job there. That he just wasn't going to get it done. He wasn't recruiting at the high enough level. We had seen enough of him failing time and time again in big-time games through the first 6 years of his tenure there to know what he was. Like, I was in the camp of fire Jim Harbaugh before they cut his salary in half heading into last year. I was wrong. What he's been able to do at Michigan is remarkable. And I think it is a reminder that in this instant gratification society, that sometimes hanging on for longer periods of time might pay dividends, because it would have been completely rational to fire Jim Harbaugh, and this never would have happened, because if they would have, they wouldn't have been in the position that they're in right now. They've built a hell of a football team. They kicked the crap out of a very talented team, and they have changed the paradigm of the Big Ten, and they have reclaimed the rivalry back. So being a man and owning up to being wrong, I was wrong, Andy. Like,
I was wrong too.
I owe him an apology.
I was in the same boat you were. I thought there was no chance that he'd be able to bring them back. When they did the salary cut, I was like, hey, it's going to be more of the same. But it wasn't more of the same.
And that's what makes him a badass too, though. Like, doing something admirable. Like, a lot of people, me, myself included, would be like, screw you. I'm not taking half the money. We made a contract. I'm not. Like, he just shut up. He doesn't prioritize the money. He went to work. He rechanged his staff. He got that whole thing going again. He took half the money, got his money back, and won 2 games in a row against a team that nobody thought he could beat once.
Well, and I find he lost one of the people that a lot of people gave credit for the change. I mean, Mike McDonald was a big reason why Michigan got so much better last year defensively. He leaves, he goes back. He was basically on loan from John Harbaugh and the Ravens, and he goes back after Wink Martindale leaves the Ravens. And then they go get Jesse Mentor, who had been with John Harbaugh and the Ravens and had been with Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. And guess what? They're still awesome on defense.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just, we're in a position where people listen to us. And if you think somebody should be fired, like, I think that maybe we should think a little bit harder, and maybe not just you, maybe I'll just say this for myself, about what that means and the severity of that, and whether that's actually the right move.
It's never good to call for somebody's job unless you really think. And the thing is, it's not so much I mind calling for a head coach's job because they're going to get big buyout money. They'll be fine. But the problem is, every time you have a firing in a college football setting, there's a lot of 5-figure salary employees whose lives get uprooted because everything gets swept away. And that's the problem when you have this fire everybody mentality. But I will admit,
and like, actually his results, Andy, were fireable for 5 years
by the standard of Michigan, and the 2020 season was very bad. Now I think you can say the 2020 season, it's a weird year, so it doesn't have to be the fireable year. I thought the solution they came up with, Ward Manuel and Jim Harbaugh, was awesome. A creative one. He bet on himself. He did flirt with the NFL last year, which I don't blame him for.
And I thought when he was flirting with the NFL that he was like, I finally did it. I can't do it again. I'm gone. That was wrong too,
Yep.
And like, we are going to spend a lot of time talking about Ohio State here because it's one of those programs that you talk about a lot. But I just wanted to make sure that on our podcast that Michigan got its minute because it deserves it, right?
Oh, yeah. And the J.J. McCarthy thing too. Now, we have not been the people saying that J.J. McCarthy is their weak link. We've always said they've never asked him. So we don't know.
People saying he was their weak link?
Oh, it wasn't us, but yeah, if you listen to a lot of the rhetoric around the country, it was, well, JJ McCarthy can't throw them to. No, you don't know that because he's never been asked to. But now he's been asked to, and it wasn't just him throwing them to a win. It was him throwing and then being a lot of the running game before they could really get the running game going. Like, he allowed them to get the running game going, and the threat of him running, I think, helped open things up for when they finally got Donovan Edwards going. Now, when did their running game finally start working? You pointed this out earlier today. It happened after a very critical call by Ryan Day. And that call by Ryan Day is the type of thing that changes the mentality of a game on both sides of the field. And that's when he decides to punt plus territory instead of just going for it. Suddenly, the next drive, Michigan can run the ball. Michigan looked like the Michigan we'd seen all season.
Yeah, it's just the lead from the story I wrote. It's not often in a game like this, one that ends in a lopsided 45-23 score, that you can identify exactly where things were lost. But Michigan's beatdown of Ohio State on Saturday in Ohio Stadium, it was clear as Ryan Day. Like, it was.
Oh, look at that. They got the Ryan Day punt and everything.
But, like,
wow.
The second they punted, and it's not about an individual call in an individual game. It is the temperament and the message that you're sending to your team. And just so people understand, Ohio State was down by 4. Right? They were down by 4, I believe, when they punted. Mm-hmm. They were at the Michigan 43-yard line, and it was 4th and 5. And you have a Heisman Trophy candidate and maybe favorite at that point on the field. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. as the best receiver in college football on the field. and you punt at home in sunny, clear weather against a team that you're supposed to be imposing your will on, what are you saying to your team? Right. You're saying, I'm scared. You're punting in a situation that you didn't punt in all year either. So you're changing the way that you're playing in this game. That's weakness. And that is something that bleeds into the attitude of your team.
Jim Harbaugh wouldn't punt in that situation. Like, he's always been pretty clear on, I'm going to do what the analytics say. Like, he was doing that long before it was popular among all the other coaches.
And Ohio State is designed to beat their enemy, their opponent. And when you punt in that situation, you're sending a message that you don't trust your team to get it done at home. Your team understands and feeds off that. It's a tightness, and you can feel the tension on the sideline. And for the rest of the game, Ohio State didn't control a second of it.
You said you think Ohio State will finish ranked or will be ranked ahead of Alabama on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the committee goes 2 losses on the last play of the game?
Yes.
1 ass whipping.
I think if they put Alabama ahead of Ohio State on Tuesday, that would be a very reasonable thing to do.
Because the way Ohio State lost is the thing here. And I have said I don't think it's going to matter as much because we've had blowouts this year. Now, that was when LSU was still in the mix. Because LSU's sitting there with a nasty blowout loss to Tennessee. There's not really that now with the other teams that are in the mix.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to take one blowout loss that got away from you at the end?
This really seems like it may come down to a perfect scenario for my kidnap Kirby Smart or Jim Harbaugh, depending on who's number one.
Ass juice.
Yeah. And administer the ass juice and be like, listen, who do you really not want to play? Because frankly, I would love to hear the answer that Kirby Smart would give if he has to choose between Alabama and Ohio State. Like, who would he really not want to play?
I bet you Kirby would probably pick to play Ohio State.
He would rather play Ohio State than Alabama.
Just because you don't want to play Saban. I mean, like, why would you don't want to give Saban a month?
That's true.
You're talking about a coach scared. It bled into the team's temperament, and they lost against a rival for the second consecutive year after the wheels fell off on their home field versus the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah. With
Bryce Young. You know, like, I don't know. Like, I think that that I can understand ranking Alabama ahead of Ohio State. So, we'll see what the committee does. And I'm excited to do the show with you on Tuesday because it actually is really something to watch.
Because Alabama has a not great looking win against Texas that they had to squeak out. They had to squeak out a win against Texas A&M. They have the 2 losses. So it will be very interesting. Updates, by the way. Kansas State has finished beating Kansas in the Sunflower Showdown. Kansas State will play TCU for the Big 12 title. Also, Washington State, early in the second quarter, up 10-7 on Washington. Referees officials attempting to break up a fight right
now. Crucial updates.
There you go.
That's a lot to unpack. And you know what the craziest thing about the Ohio State situation is? After last year, when they lost the way that they lost, they replaced their defensive staff for the most part. They went and got a defensive coordinator who's making $2 million a year. And both times they needed to stop with the game on the line. Michigan scored on one 75-yard touchdown and scored another touchdown on another drive. But what do you do now?
Well,
that's the thing. Like, what's
if
next?
Anybody has shown us that you can change a team's personality, it's what Jim Harbaugh has done with Michigan. Like, he created a new personality for Michigan. And I think, obviously, like Sharon Moore, I think, has a lot to do with that, moving him from tight ends to O-line. And I think that should show you, if you're Ohio State, that it is possible to do that with some staff changes. Or
that's what they were trying to do for the entire past year.
But for the defense, not for the offense.
Well, the defense blew it.
The offense, maybe if the offense had a killer instinct or a personality. This is a Ryan Day.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
If you have an offense where if you absolutely need yards on the ground, like when you're at Northwestern and the wind is blowing 40 miles an hour, and you just mash them up and down the field, you're going for that 4th down. You're not punting there.
Yeah, and during the Urban Meyer era too, like Ohio State was a run-first, smash-mouth football team that ran out of the spread.
Texas Tech has just beaten Oklahoma 51-48 in overtime. This is the greatest day in the world for message board geniuses. In fact, we may have to just do a live read of message board geniuses on the show. Good Lord.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's next. All I know is that there's a problem. And the worst thing for Ohio State is that they came in last year. They could have told themselves, half the team was sick. They played on the road. It was snowing outside. It wasn't good conditions. The defense was weak. All the things, matched up perfectly for a one-off Michigan win. This year, everything lined up perfectly for Ohio State to win, and they lost. So now it's been over 1,000 days or whatever the counter is at that since Ohio State's beaten Michigan. And they have to go at least another 365 days until they can try again, all of which there will be a insane dark cloud of doubt.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, that's the last thing I was going to say. There is a possibility that Ohio State could face Michigan in the national championship game this year. Like, that literally could happen.
Or they could play a 1-4 game. Like, let's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the committee isn't going to
what if LSU beats Georgia? Assume nothing, Ari.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, could you imagine if Ohio State lost to Michigan again in the playoff?
They might fire Ryan Day if that happened. Like, they really might.
I mean, seriously, like, could you imagine?
No, I can't. But it would be incredible. That game, the stakes of that game would feel incredible. It would feel like when North Carolina played Coach K and Duke in the Final Four this year. They play all the time, but they had ruined his last game at Cameron, and now they have a chance to end his career. Like, it would feel like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Alabama's a legitimate threat right now, and I didn't know that we should say that.
I have a hard time saying that because I keep saying no. They're.
But you're the one who just said. Would you rank Bama ahead of Ohio State or no?
It was. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think the committee's going to do that because there's 2 losses. The losses have to matter.
I just think when I saw that graphic, I was like, oh God, where are they going to be? Like, they're still very much in striking distance.
Well, you know what's crazy too is the top 4 that is going to be there on Tuesday might just be the top 4.
Right.
Because TCU and USC are I don't think that USC is going to lose in Vegas next weekend.
Well, we're going to have to place a bet on that. Other than the one we already have, but
yeah,
I believe there's a scorpion shot bet.
I might just have to like bet $500 on the money line for whoever they're playing just to hedge out.
But again, you lose no money if they lose this year. They'll probably make it next year, and I got to pay.
Yeah,
I'm the dummy who took the 3-year bet.
Yeah, I'm not going to celebrate it yet. But I think I nailed that one. I think I nailed that one. Yeah.
I think you did too. I like your chances of winning that one. I really do.
Well, especially now that they have one of the most exciting quarterbacks we've seen in the last 10 years on their team.
He's amazing. All right. When we come back, we have to talk about some of these other results, but let's with a little help from our friends at Message Board Geniuses, look at some of the reactions to these games to help us pick which games that we talk about, because I'm looking at one right now. The board is Tiger droppings, of course. Oh my. We'll be right back. Sling TV has something for everyone. All your favorite shows on your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. What you watch is up to you. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. So if you're looking for sports, Sling's got you covered with pro and college football and basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, and so much more. Sling also has reality TV, so you can keep up with the latest gossip with today's hottest shows on channels like TLC, Bravo, MTV, and more. And don't forget about news. Get up to date with today's most trusted sources like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News. Feeling adventurous? Explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. So what kind of mood are you in? No matter your answer, Sling has what you need. Getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device, and you can record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space. And the best part, you can pause or customize your subscription at any time. So check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. I have 10,000 pictures of my kids on my phone, but no idea how I'm going to compile all of them into an actual story for them. Artifact completely solves this problem. At the end of each year, they create a narrated video yearbook about each of my kids. Artifact sets me up with a professional interviewer to talk about my children throughout the year. I add photos wherever I want, and the whizzes at Artifact edit it all together into a video yearbook. It's easy, fun, and affordable. The grandparents absolutely love it. You know what? One day, this is going to be an amazing gift for the kids themselves. You might remember that Artifact is a longtime sponsor of this show, and they still do life stories of older family members. But now they have a product for parents like me watching my kids grow up way too fast and wanting to hold on to those memories while they're fresh. You can sign up to try it for yourself for less than $9 a month when you use my code STAPLES at checkout. So go to heyartifact.com/kids and enter the code STAPLES to get started. That's heyartifact.com/kids and enter the code STAPLES. Welcome back. And of course, with our friends at Message Board Geniuses, that's at Board Geniuses on Twitter, they scour the message boards for the greatest post game. Like if there's a meltdown and somebody wants everybody fired, they're on it. Ari, the LSU fans are unhappy.
I haven't looked at it yet, so I'm gonna like go through it with you as you read them.
LSU Tigers 8181 said he did this bleep at Notre Dame. We're in for a lot of letdowns. Speaking of course, of Brian Kelly. Here's the better one from Slidell Cajun. Be honest, who would you rather be the coach for LSU right now? So what Slidell Cajun is asking is, would you rather have Brian Kelly, who took a team that was 6-6 last year and fired its coach and won the SEC West? Or would you have Jimbo Fisher, who took a team that is like number 6 in the 24/7 talent composite and went 5-7 this season?
So do we think that Kelly did a bad job now? 2 weeks after
we don't. These people do.
No, I know. I just like, is that where
they
we're
may
at?
have had a little bit of the brown liquor. Oh, by the way, Washington now up in the Apple Cup, 14-10.
I think you're going to be giving a lot of updates on this one, bud.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't know how to gauge that. I mean, they're going to the SEC championship game in year one. So, relax. I never was fooled that LSU was some sort of juggernaut.
Right.
So,
it was never like you thought, okay, if they put everything together, they can beat some good teams because they have really good top end talent. But Jaden Daniels as a quarterback never gave you that much confidence that they could just win a national title or be competitive in the playoff. So I think they're going to get there, and I don't think it'll take long. I think maybe even by next year, we'll be talking about them as a team that can win the SEC, can compete in the playoff. And by the time it's a 12-team playoff, I think we're going to feel like they're going to be a bit of a fixture in the thing. So
yeah, it's okay. It's going fine. They're not going to win in Atlanta, but good first year. Not great first year, good first year.
Yeah. That game was crazy. And I'm sure if you're a Texas A&M fan, you're frustrated because where was that all season? Like that was a bunch of freshmen making plays.
You know what that is?
Stars mattering?
No, it's the perfect opportunity
boy.
to end the season on a good note.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher has a few extra weeks to recruit his butt off because he's not going to be preparing for a bowl.
That's right.
Keeps everybody intact.
I don't need an offensive coordinator, Ari. Don't worry about that. I got
back into the top 5 in June.
That's what Matt Brown, one of our editors, said. Oh, well, look at all these young guys playing so well. I think I'm going to pencil them in at number 6.
Connor Wegman's first win.
It is.
All these young players. Let's see how they finish off this class this year. I can get back on board. What am I? I'm the guy who gets cheated on and stays with his partner, aren't I?
You are with this particular
with college football.
Yes. So I will not do that. I will need to see them win some stuff first. But if like what I want to see with Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, Wegman did beat UMass last weekend.
That's right. He did beat UMass. Okay. This is his first Power 5 win.
Sorry for deleting that from my brain.
There you go. But I need to see how many people they keep on the roster.
Yeah.
Like that. That's going to be the litmus test is if this roster is mostly intact next year.
And they sign another top 5 class?
Yeah. I'm probably going to be feeling all right about them. If there's a mass exodus, that's another story. And look, there's a lot going on. Like we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about some of the off-field stuff because there's so much crazy on-field stuff. But at the moment, Hugh Freeze is the favorite to get the Auburn job. Lane Kiffin is signing a big fat extension at Ole Miss. Matt Rule has been officially hired by Nebraska. That happened on Saturday morning. So
there's one more.
Oh, that's right. Kenny Dillingham. Kenny Dillingham, the Oregon OC, is going to be the head coach at Arizona State, which Ari and I both said, that's a very natural fit. You should do that. Ari wrote a great column about it the day after Herm Edwards got fired?
Yeah, it was like 2 months ago.
Yeah. Now,
I think
Oregon, I believe Oregon fans were on the message board saying that Kenny threw the game. Here it is from Leaf in Duck territory. Only thing I can think of with some of the offensive calls at the first half and at the end of the game. If he didn't, then good riddance to him because that play calling was pitiful.
Yeah, I'm reading it now, Andy. Miami message boards, Urban Meyer. It's the only man who can save the program, even though I can't stand him.
Miami's saying this now after they just signed Mario Cristobal to the largest contract
Ryan
they've ever given anyone.
Is Ohio State's version of Rich Rod.
Wow. Oh, here's a good one. This is from Sooner Scoop. So this is an Oklahoma fan. Sushi sucks. This is not sliced bread, unfortunately. I wish it were sliced bread. Oh, by the way, touchdown Washington State. Sushi sucks on Sooner Scoop. Riley was a much better coach than realized. I can't read the rest of
how many Heismans and playoff berths did they need to see before they realized he was pretty good at his job?
OU 50. I literally hate this bleeping team and incompetent staff. This is Texas bleeping tech, for God's sake.
Does Dabo want to leave Clemson? Maybe this is his way out.
What does he call? Does he call Auburn and be like, "Are you all sure you want Hugh?"
Yeah. Oh, man.
You sure? Like,
is it just like really sad people who are intoxicated?
Yes, and angry. They're also angry
because they don't believe any of this.
I also think there's a certain type of fan, and of course, this is what makes Message Board Genius is what it is. This is not everybody. This is like 1%. But I have a friend who's like this, who went to my alma mater, and I am convinced that the only time he wants to engage in conversation about Florida is to complain. Like, he doesn't want to say, "Wow, that was awesome." It's always, well, they're doing this wrong or they're doing this wrong. And I think this is the type of person. And I got to admit, they're very entertaining.
Yeah. Well, Stu's kicking the Oklahoma.
The Beehive. Don't do that.
He goes, "You guys were right. I was dumb to pick Oklahoma to go 7-5.
He did pick K-State to win the league too, and they are in the championship game. So.
He got a lot of crap for that, and it's like he might be right about all of it.
His Texas one was right too, wasn't it?
I think the whole thing turned out to be right.
Well, no, because I think he said Texas was going to go 4-5 in league play, so they didn't do that, but they were 6-3 in league play. But that was pretty good.
Yeah, good job, Stu. We're proud of you.
Wow. Holy cow. I'm not sure I'd take the victory lap on that one.
Yeah.
Stuart picked Samuel Callan reminds us Stuart picked Texas to go 4-8. So
yeah. Well, you only pick out you only tell your friends about the bets you won, don't you?
That's exactly. But listen, there are certain ones where you're right, and you don't need to tell anybody you're right. You just sort of.
I mean, I understand the urge, though, Andy, because if you do something and you get dragged for it, and it's just like Oklahoma fans can be pretty tough on Twitter. Like, you get dragged and dragged and dragged. The guy Stu was standing behind the tree, rubbing his hands together this entire season, waiting for this day. So,
oh yeah. Well, as BT Bates points out, most people never say, "Man, the McDonald's ice cream machine is working." It is expected. Everyone says because the ice cream machine is always broke.
I could really, really go for one of those ice cream cones right now.
They're amazing.
Is that weird?
I love them. No, I would take one too. So there's so much more to talk about. All right. Let's clean up the conference championship game pictures as best we can, because there is still one hanging out there that we don't know the matchup yet. But the ACC has been set for a while. It's going to be Clemson and North Carolina, but there will be no playoff implications to the game. Georgia and LSU has been set for a while in the SEC. tonight it was decided that TCU would be playing Kansas State for the Big 12, for the Big 10, Michigan. And this weekend was wild in the West because on Friday, Nebraska beats Iowa, and that throws that into chaos. Purdue falls behind at Indiana and was behind for a while, but then pulled away in the second half. They are your West champs. So Purdue, Michigan, we don't think there's – I realize the theme of tonight is assume nothing, but we don't think there's a chance Purdue beats Michigan, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Last year, I thought that Iowa could beat Michigan.
Yeah, that was
a
blowout.
That was pretty gnarly. So, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get any Big Ten magic in Indianapolis, but now we're waiting to see if Wazoo wins, Utah goes.
No, if Wazoo wins, Oregon goes. If Washington wins, Utah goes.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah. I was just like, I was. So Utah fans are Washington fans tonight.
Utah fans are massive Washington fans. Oregon fans are massive Wazoo fans. I cannot believe that Oregon, after what happened today, could still go and win the conference title. Like, what are they going to be like mentally after that game?
I don't know. You got to just be alive and take the path that you take. I don't know. You play your next game, one game at a time, right, coaches?
That's exactly right. Well, you're going to have to. You're going to absolutely have to. So Alabama beats Auburn in the Iron Bowl. We think Hugh Freeze is the lead candidate for Auburn. Hugh Freeze's Liberty team got destroyed by New Mexico State, by the way.
Yeah, because they probably.
Oh, yeah, because he's like, yeah, guys, I might be leaving, and that was that.
Yeah, that was a pretty insane box score.
It was. Now, listen, we've talked about this a million times. Hugh Freeze, from an on-field standpoint, he's everything Auburn would want. He'll go head-to-head with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart in recruiting, doesn't care about that, and actually will not have a bunch of stuff thrown, and won't have a lot of accusations thrown at him like when he was at Ole Miss if he gets guys, because NIL is a thing that exists now. On-field, he drives Nick Saban crazy. We know that.
Yeah.
Don't know how Kirby Smart feels about him, but Kirby obviously coached two of the defenses that Hugh Freeze beat when they beat Alabama.
We believe that he's going to win there, right? If it's him?
I think so. So. I think
he's a good football coach.
It's interesting, though, because you went through all this rigmarole. You paid all this money to Gus Malzahn. You went through the Brian Harsin thing only to hire buddy of Gus Malzahn, because I think they weren't going to do it last time because they were trying to get away from Malzahn. And I think now they realize, well, no, that was not so bad. What was going on then? So, I saw some dissension in the Auburn fan base. A lot of it is because they don't want to hire Hugh Freeze because they don't like him because of how everything ended at Ole Miss. And look, it was bad. But if it's all right with his wife, I guess, then I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be judging too much.
Yeah, I mean, all anybody cares about when it's all said and done is winning football games, and that's what it is. So we'll see how it goes.
Touchdown Washington on the throwback to Michael Penix Jr. This game is going to melt our faces, Ari.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the over/under is going to hit at 88 points, you think, or what?
I don't know if it's going to go that high in terms of total. It's Pullman. It's late at night. Weird things happen. That's what we love about
they're scoring touchdowns back and forth on every drive. So,
yeah, I'm enjoying this very much. All right, we're going to take one more break. When we come back, let's try to figure out what the hell Tuesday night's going to look like, because it's going to be weird. After a holiday spent entirely in the kitchen, it's nice to know your meal plan is covered. It's not just leftover turkey sandwiches. With Freshly, you get delicious, satisfying meals delivered fresh to your door. Just heat and eat, no cooking or cleanup required. And Freshly's Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals are some of the biggest and best of the year. $175 off your first 7 orders. we all know that during this season, things can get stressful. You do the big cooking day on Thanksgiving, but the days around it, you've got a lot going on. You got family coming into town. You got people coming, going. What are you going to do for dinner? Well, if you're using Freshly, you already know. You've got a great menu, so many options. I was looking at the chicken tikka masala, the protein-packed chicken parm, the white bean turkey chili bowl. There's something for everybody, whether you need gluten-free, any sort of dietary restriction that you got to deal with, they've got something for you that you're going to love. You can pick from a rotating menu of over 35 tasty, balanced meals for every dietary preference. Find a flexible plan that fits your lifestyle, whether you're calorie conscious or gluten-free, plant-based pasta lover, or all about the meat and potatoes. They have it all. So order today and get $175 off your first 7 orders at freshly.com/Andy22 for a limited time. That's freshly.com/Andy22 for $175 off your first 7 orders. Freshly.com/Andy22. $175 off your first 7 orders. Welcome back. And before we figure out what the playoff ranking will look like, a little breaking news, Ari. A little breaking news. We talked about the Texas A&M roster and how does it stay together. We have a defection from the class of 2021 announced just a few minutes ago. Elijah Judy, edge rusher from Philadelphia. He only played in 2 games. This is not one of the freshmen who played a ton, but he's into the portal, or will be when it opens. So that's one. There you go.
Got to keep a scoreboard.
But again, he didn't play that much. So this is not particularly shocking, I don't think.
Yeah, you said 21 class, right?
He's 21 class, yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 22 class.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking 22 class. It's like, because Elijah Judy was rumored already to have been on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I looked at that, but he just announced it a few minutes ago. So
I always wear a hat inside responding to one of the comments because my hair is a mess and I didn't have time to.
Your hair is fabulous. You should know that. Okay, it's less fabulous now, but if you put forth a little effort, it would be pretty fabulous.
I had to do my hair on Thanksgiving Day for family portraits, so that was my one shot this week.
There you go.
I'll do it in Vegas, so I got some really good cream.
Oh, now that's right. This is a good time to remind everybody. This time next week, we will be doing the show from Las Vegas, from the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook. We'll do the Saturday shows. If we have a crazy game we want to react to immediately, we'll do one from there, and then the usual post game show, and then also right after we get the real Final Four, the actual playoff announcement, we'll come back on Sunday and do a show live. So it'll be fun. If you happen to be out in Vegas, come by Mandalay Bay and say hi. We will be hanging around in the Sportsbook all day Saturday and probably a lot of the day on Sunday. And be at the Pac-12 title game on Friday night. We don't know who we're going to be watching yet because the Apple Cup needs to tell us.
Yeah, and I'm going to be up for it all night. So, we'll see how it ends up going. But I'm excited. All that matters is USC is going to be there, though, man. That's the main event.
USC is definitely going to be there. Caleb Williams is going to be there. I would think probably locking down a Heisman candidacy at that point.
Don't forget your ATM card.
I don't know if I'm going to need cash. I can Venmo you what I need to Venmo you.
We're going right to the tables, pal. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're going to the tables. Listen, if I'm losing money to you, I'm not giving money to the tables. So I'm not trying to chase it. I'm not chasing the dragon. I'm going to buy a steak because at least I get a steak. All right.
I'm gonna take you to dinner, Andy, if I win.
I appreciate that, Ari. I'm
going
to spend a lot of that money then. Oh, okay. I see how it is. All right.
No, I'm going to take you to dinner, bud. It's the least I can do.
Beautiful. All right. Let us predict how Tuesday will go. And again, I don't think the committee is going to do this, but for our purposes, I hope they argue this. I would like a robust argument between Michigan and Georgia at number 1. I would like a resume comparison because obviously Georgia's domination of Oregon looks great. The way they played against Tennessee looks great. The way they beat South Carolina looks even better now after the last couple of weeks. But are we sure?
I think that Georgia's pretty much locked in here.
I think so. But the best win of the season, as you pointed out on our earlier show, belongs to Michigan now.
It does.
And
Best win of the season with terrible resume otherwise. I don't know how that jives.
Well, they destroyed Penn State, which went 10-2. Now you can say what's Penn State's best, but they're still 10-2. And they kicked the crap out of them.
You know what's crazy is if you gave everybody ass juice, they'd want to play TCU first, I bet. So actually being the 2 seed is probably more advantageous than being the 1 seed, depending on who the 4 seed is.
If the 4 seed is potentially Ohio State or Alabama, if there's any chance in the world the 4 seed could be Ohio State or Alabama, you probably want to be the 2 seed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I'm just like looking at the college football playoff rankings right now, and I don't even like. Let's just say TCU or USC lose.
Mm-hmm.
The only other 2 teams that it could even be, I guess, would be
Ohio
one
State or
loss,
Alabama.
TCU or Ohio State or Alabama. Like, there's nobody else there.
Right, exactly.
So,
exactly. Touchdown Washington State.
Yeah, that over's hitting in a hurry.
This is going to be amazing. Now, we'll be back here at about 5 a.m. to wrap this thing up, but it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, you said you're gonna do us all a solid, and
you can go to sleep, Ari.
I can go to sleep, but
I'll handle it all. Don't worry.
You might be regretting that promise. You're stopping the clock and going to commercials every 30 seconds for the touchdowns.
Listen, there's nothing I can do about that. This is the life we chose, Ari.
It is.
There's only 14 of these beautiful Saturdays a year. I intend to savor every minute of every one.
Yeah.
Also, this may not be a touchdown. We'll see.
Next week, there's conference championship games on Saturday. So when we're in the book, they're going to be on TV, right?
They are.
Yes, Kevin, I made an Apple Cup bet and I'm wrong. I have 2 Apple Cup bets. One looks good and one's wrong.
Do you have the Apple Cup under?
I have the Apple Cup under, and
did you check the weather?
Washington State +3.
Did you check the weather?
Every time you say touchdown, I die a little inside.
If you didn't check the weather, like, it's clear. Of course they're getting the over. You need a snowstorm. Oh, no touchdown. Good.
We're live, baby. We're back.
There you go. You're back.
Aren't they at the 1 yard line?
No. That's an incomplete pass. This is just a long incompletion. So you got very lucky there, Ari. And
no, it's not lucky because I have Washington State +3. See, it's like a weird confuse. I just need Washington to stop scoring touchdowns.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Ari, I'm going to let you sweat this. If you happen to be awake when this thing's over and you want to talk for a few more minutes, that's great. If not, this will be the end of the show for you who are watching live on video. If you're in podcast form, this will also be the end of the show, but I have yet to record what you will hear at the beginning. And now my head hurts. But it was an amazing day of college football. It's been an amazing season. I can't believe the regular season's already over, Ari.
This actually was the fastest year of my career.
It was. And I know everybody says that. We say that every year, but
no, this one was really fast.
I feel like it was September 2 minutes ago. I really do. And so I want to thank everybody for taking the ride with us. This has been a blast. We got another week of just full go. You know, we'll have the rankings reaction show. We'll have those shows out in Vegas. We're going to have a lot of fun this week. And it's not even over yet tonight.
Yeah, don't even say goodbye, because even when it is over, we got you 3 times, 4 times a week. Like, we're not going anywhere. Like, this is a year-round show.
Exactly. This never ends. You just get more food talk. All right. Good night, everybody. We will talk to you again on Monday or Tuesday if you're listening in podcast form. But for those of you listening in podcast form, just remember what you heard at the beginning. I haven't said yet. I bet your head's hurt now too. Good night, everybody.